the biggest division in the sport.
Francis Ngannou has the world record for the most powerful punch. His punch is the equivalent to 96 horsepower, which is equal to getting hit by a Ford Escort going as fast as it can.
UFC 321, October 25th, 2025. Heavyweight title fight, and the champion gets poked in both eyes. Round 1, 4 minutes and 35 seconds in. Fight's over. The division waited months and got 4 minutes and 35 seconds before it froze again. And that wasn't even the first time heavyweight fell apart this year. Because the UFC heavyweight division isn't cursed, it's built in a way that breaks. And by the end, you'll understand why heavyweight keeps collapsing, why the UFC can't stabilize it, and why the same problem keeps repeating no matter who holds the belt. But here's the thing. This is where the UFC did UFC things, and the division paid for it. Today, we're breaking down the UFC heavyweight problem. Why everything keeps falling apart.
There's a much deeper story to this whole thing.
The super fight that died, the title that got frozen, and the one domino effect that keeps turning the division into a waiting room.
Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Here's the misconception. Heavyweight is just chaos, but it's chaos for specific reasons. Incentives, scarcity, and one division where one event can erase a whole year. And once you see the UFC's incentives at heavyweight, legacy fights, timing, risk, you'll understand why the division gets stuck even when the UFC has every reason to fix it. Let's talk about how the heavyweight machine is actually built. This isn't about gyms or fighters. This is about division culture. Heavyweight is the most fragile division in the UFC because of 3 core realities. 1. Scarcity. There just aren't that many elite heavyweights at any given time. When you've got maybe 10 legitimate contenders on the entire planet, and 3 of them are past their prime, and 2 are injured, the pool gets shallow fast. At lightweight, you can lose a star and still run 5 contender fights. At heavyweight, 1 fight is the economy. 2. Risk. Every heavyweight has knockout power. 1 punch changes everything. That's not a cliche, that's math. When the margin for error is that thin, fighters get careful, promoters get protective, and fights get delayed. 3. Legacy obsession. Heavyweight sells on myth, the baddest man on the planet, the knockout artist, the legend. Fans don't just want the best fight, they want the biggest fight. And that expectation pressures the UFC into waiting for perfect moments that might never come. So when you combine scarcity with risk, with legacy, you get a system where one wrong move can freeze the entire division. And in 2025, the UFC tried to solve this with one perfect plan. Then it all went sideways. The UFC's clean narrative was simple. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Unification. The greatest of all time versus the most dangerous heavyweight on earth. Legacy versus future. The perfect ending. Let's talk about Aspinall for a second. This guy came out of the UK scene training at Team Cowbon in Liverpool, same gym where Darren Till trained. By the time he hit the UFC, he was a problem nobody was ready for. Because Aspinall doesn't fight like a heavyweight. He's 6'5", 265 pounds, and he moves like a lightweight. He holds the UFC record for shortest average fight time in history, 2 minutes and 18 seconds, the shortest in UFC history. 8 wins in the UFC, all finishes, 7 of them in the first round. He doesn't just finish people, he erases them before they understand what happened. His jab flips out like a whip. His right hand is sneaky and fast, and when he takes you down, the armbar or the ground and pound comes before you can breathe. The UFC saw Aspinall as the future, Jones as the final boss, the super fight that would crown the real king and send Jones out like a legend. But there was tension underneath. The UFC wanted control. They wanted Jones to fight on their timeline, at maximum hype, minimum risk. Aspinall represented danger, real, young, explosive danger. For Jones, the risk-to-reward calculation was brutal. The UFC kept pushing. Jones kept stalling. Aspinall kept waiting. Then came June 21st, 2025. Dana White steps up at a press conference and makes it official.
Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Just like that, the UFC loses the super fight, the biggest heavyweight fight in history, gone. And this is where the UFC's plan officially dies. Now they need a new plan in real time. And the craziest part? That wasn't even the worst thing that happened to heavyweight this year. So the UFC pivots fast. Aspinall is the new champion. He needs a defense, someone credible, someone who can sell, someone who won't embarrass the moment. They book Ciryl Gane, former interim champ, elite striker, big name, clean matchup. UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi, October 25th, 2025. The division's fresh start. Aspinall trains like he always does. Obsessive, technical, sharp. Gane comes in with that long Muay Thai stance and that weird heavyweight footwork that makes him look like he's skating. The fight starts. First round. Aspinall's moving forward. Gane's staying at range. The crowd's locked in. This is going to be good. Then, 4 minutes and 35 seconds into round 1, Ciryl Gane's fingers go straight into Tom Aspinall's eyes. Both of them. Deep. The referee stops it. Aspinall's blinking, grabbing his face, telling the doctor he can't see. The doctor checks. Aspinall tries to wave it off, but he can't continue. No contest. The division waited months for this moment, and it got 4 minutes and 35 seconds before it froze again. Aspinall goes to the hospital that night. Vision problems, eye damage, and later, he says he's still not medically cleared, still not training, and surgery is on the table. Then the beef kicks in. Gane posts online about training with no opponent and no date set, and Aspinall snaps back, basically saying there's no date because he isn't cleared, he might need surgery, and he blames Gane's fingernails for the whole mess. Now the PR war is real. The animosity is boiling. But none of that matters because the belt is medically frozen. And this is where the UFC heavyweight problem shows its real face. One accident can freeze the entire division, not slowly, instantly. So let's walk through exactly how this breaks, step by step. Step 1. Champion timing breaks the schedule. Aspinall can't fight until he's medically cleared. The UFC wants to rebook as soon as possible. But reality doesn't care. Double vision doesn't just disappear because Dana White wants it to. Aspinall says he hasn't been medically cleared and doesn't know when he'll be able to return. And until that changes, the belt just sits. Step 2. Contenders can't move because the top is paused. When the champion can't fight, everyone ranked beneath him is stuck in limbo. Do you take a risky fight that could ruin your title shot? Or do you wait and go stale? Most wait, because heavyweight title shots don't come twice. Then the division becomes a waiting room. Step 3. UFC incentives make it worse. The UFC doesn't just want fights. They want clear, sellable stories. Dominant champ versus clear challenger. The biggest name versus the biggest moment. But when the champ is inactive, the UFC's preferred product is unavailable. They could make an interim title. They could book contender eliminators. But those options carry risk. What if the interim champ gets hurt? At lightweight, those risks are manageable because the talent pool is deep. At heavyweight, one bad decision can cost the company millions in lost superfights. Step 4. The division becomes a rumor factory. With no clear timeline, speculation fills the void. Fans call for interim titles. Contenders call for clarity. The UFC delays decisions because heavyweight is too expensive to misplay. Every fight has to count, every matchup has to make sense, and when nothing's moving, the only thing left is noise. Step 5. The PR war fills the void, and heavyweight did what heavyweight does, turned medical drama into beef. Aspinall's blasting Gane over the fingernails. Gane's saying it was accidental, and he feels terrible. Aspinall's saying he watched the tape back and Gane was pointing fingers at his eyes the whole round. The internet picks sides, the division's paused, but the chaos keeps growing. June 21st, Jones retires. Aspinall becomes champ. October 25th, UFC 321 ends in a no contest. November and December, Aspinall's not cleared. Surgery's coming. Nobody knows when he's back. And this is the part where you realize it's not just about Tom Aspinall or Ciryl Gane or Jon Jones. It's about how heavyweight is built. The UFC heavyweight problem isn't bad luck. It's architecture, and it breaks for 4 specific reasons. 1. Scarcity. There aren't enough truly elite heavyweights to keep momentum when the top stalls. At lightweight, if the champ goes down, you've got 5 guys who could headline a pay-per-view tomorrow. At heavyweight, you've got maybe 2, and if one's injured and one's retired, the division just stops. 2. Incentives. The UFC wants maximum payoff fights with minimal risk and clean narratives. That's not greed. That's business. But at heavyweight, where the UFC chases legacy more than anywhere else because it sells, they want the perfect moment, the perfect fight. And heavyweight doesn't do perfect, it does chaos. 3. Fragility. One retirement announcement can end a year of planning. One accidental foul can freeze a division. One medical issue can erase a champion's activity for months. The UFC can control matchmaking. They can't control injuries, retirements, commissions, or eye surgery recovery timelines. 4. Control limits. The UFC has more power over its fighters than any major sports league, but they can't force Jon Jones to take a fight he doesn't want. They can't speed up medical clearances. They can't prevent eye pokes in the cage. And when the thing they can't control is the thing that matters most, who's fighting, when, and why, the system breaks. Heavyweight fans don't want the best fight. They want the biggest fight. That expectation traps the UFC. If they book Aspinall versus the number 3 contender while Jones is stalling, fans say they're protecting Jones. If they strip Jones before he officially retires, fans say they're disrespecting a legend. If they rush Aspinall back before he's cleared, fans say they're risking a champion's career. The UFC heavyweight division keeps falling apart because it's built on one fragile pipeline, one champion, one mega fight, one perfect night, and when anything goes wrong, retirement, injury, accident, the entire division stops moving. At lightweight, chaos creates contenders. At heavyweight, chaos creates silence, because the system only works when everything aligns, and in 2025, nothing aligned. Jones retired, Aspinall got hurt, the belt got frozen. Here's what's wild. The UFC has every reason to fix this. Heavyweight sells. The names are huge, the knockouts are brutal, the stakes are maximum, but the structure, the scarcity, the incentives, the fragility, keeps breaking it. And until the UFC figures out how to keep heavyweight moving when the top freezes, this will keep happening. Different year, different names, same problem. If you want another story about a UFC system that breaks under pressure, watch our breakdown of the UFC's control problem with stars who don't play the rules. Links up top. And in the comments, should the UFC make an interim title right now? Or is that how you break heavyweight even more? Because honestly, I don't know the answer. And that might be the biggest problem of all.